Hey YouTube, Kiritwig here, bringing you all an update to my Zing Yugioh deck profile for post the June 2023 ban list. We got Denlong, first of the Zings, off of the ban list. It's been a long while since this level 5 Synchro Tuner has been off the list, but it was one of my favorite Zings. It just made for so many fun combos that you could do with the deck. So with it now being at 1 off of the list, I figured an update was definitely due for the deck. The whole deck for the Zings is meant to synchro summon out a bunch of different monsters and then also make those synchro monsters inherit additional card effects based on which Zing monsters you use to summon out those monsters. And Denlong just helps to extend those plays, just giving you more and more search power, just even when it's special summon, to add one Zing card from your deck to your hand. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for this deck profile, I also decided to go for a pure variant for the Zing deck. The last time I did an update to the deck, I made Zing Metal Foes, but we're going pure Zing for this deck profile. So for our Zing monsters, I'm running 3 copies of Zhao Darkness of the Zing. When you control this card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to your graveyard, you can special summon one Zing monster from your deck in attack position except for Zhao of the Zing. If you control no other monsters, you can send 2 Zing cards from your hand to the graveyard to special summon one Zing monster with 0 attack and one with 0 defense from your deck, but banish them during the end phase. You're going to use this effect of one Zhao effect per turn, and only once that turn. So Zhao can really be your normal summon to set up 2 other special summons on the field, just giving you resource after resource for depending on what summon you want to go for with your extra deck. You have to invest 2 cards in your hand, so it is a risk for the hand trap play, but it's your main go-to play because once the Zhao does resolve, you just have your Zing resources on the field for you to go for your synchro plays. And then you even have the play to special summon Zhao off of another one of your Zings and then just float into another copy if need be as well. We're also running 3 Chun Light of the Zing. When it's destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Zing monster from your deck except for Chun. And when a Zing monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, while this card's in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. So with this card having the option for the destruction play in your graveyard as well, it can just give you a resource back onto the field, it being Chun, as another level 1 tuner just to summon back onto the field for you to use. But you banish it when it leaves the field. We run 3 of this card just so we have plenty of target options for you to then set up another special summon with Chun, and then when it's destroyed, giving you another monster. So with that play, you're going to use 1 Chun Light of the Zing effect per turn. So if you use the special summon destruction play, you'll have to wait until the following turn, let's say, to special summon Chun back onto the field. And I also run 3 copies of Suwanee, Fire of the Zing, having the same special summon effect. It summons the other one in defense. The biggest tell you can use for the Zing monsters for which position it will summon the other monster in is if it has attack and 0 defense, then it'll summon the monster in defense. And if it has defense and 0 attack, it'll summon the monster in attack position. It's your best way to know for a good majority of the Zing monsters. Suwanee also, with this card, for the synchro play, giving the monster it uses for synchro material. When you use Suwanee as a synchro material, it gives the synchro monster 500 attack and defense. So a nice little attack boost with this card. And we're also running 3 copies of Beyond Earth of the Zing. We're running a good number of different Zing monsters. So we also have the discard fodder for our Zhao, but so we also have just more and more monsters to utilize in the graveyard, and a lot of them can be shuffled back into the deck for draw power with cards like Zing Path. With our Beyond having a special summon and defense play on destruction, and also a synchro monster that uses this card's synchro material cannot be destroyed by battle. So having a synchro monster that cannot be destroyed by battle definitely does come in handy depending on the boss monsters we may make using our Beyond on the field as well. And also 3 copies of Bixi, Water of the Zing, with this card having the special summon of a Zing in attack position when destroyed. And with this card, it makes the monster summoned off of it when you use Bixi as a synchro material unaffected by trap effects. So that can definitely come in handy depending on the trap lineup you're going up against with your opponent, making that monster that much more protected. And being a level 2 monster, Bixi is definitely adjustable with your other higher level Zing monsters to, fluctuate depending on the monster you want to summon out for the different materials you can use. For some of the lower numbers for the Zing monsters, we also run 2 copies of Zefronu, Secret of the Zing. When it's pendulum summoned or when this card is destroyed by battle or card effect while you control in your monster zone, you can add 1 Zing or Zephyr spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Then you can only use this effect of Zefronu, Secret of the Zing once per turn. turn. So being able to add a Yang Zing spell trap gives you a good variety of search depending on what you want to add to your hand. Cards like 9 Pillars of the Yang Zing can also be used to negate a card on the field and then destroy that Yang Zing card you control. So you can use it to destroy your Zefronu that you have on the field and then activate Zefronu's own effect since it was destroyed by a card effect, along with being able to use the trap to stop your opponent's cards. For some of the one-ofs for the Yang Zing cards, I also run 1 copy of Zefroxy, another Pendulum Yang Zing card. With this card, when it's Pendulum Summon or Special Summon from the main deck, you can target 1 Yang Zing or Zephyr monster you control, except for Zefroxy. That face-up monsters treat as a tuner this turn, and also place this card on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. So with the Special Summon of your Zefroxy onto the field, you can turn cards like Bixi into a level 2 tuner, and then use those 2 monsters to then summon out your Denlong. And then placing Zefronu or Zefroxy back onto the bottom of the deck isn't really that big of a problem, because then you can just summon it back out again with another one of your Yang Zing plays. I also run the 1 Taoti Shadow of the Yang Zing as another level 5 option to adjust with some of our monsters, and the same with Pulao Wind of the Yang Zing, a level 1 wind monster, making the monster used for the synchro play unaffected by spells, but adjusted levels just like with Bixi, having that 1 additional level 1 monster to summon out onto the field. And then for the rest of the monsters for the main deck, 1 copy of Mare. Now, this card can be special summoned quite easily onto the field with cards like your Yazi, Evil of the Yang Zing. Just being able to special summon 1 worm monster from your deck in defense position, special summoning out your Mare, and then during your main phase, reducing this card's level by 1 to special summon 1 Mare token on the field. You can only use this effect up to thrice per turn, but that can give you 3 tokens to use for the additional tokens of other cards on the field, thanks to Mare as well. Moving on now to the spells, I run 3 copies of Yang Zing Path. You target 3 Yang Zing monsters in your graveyard, shuffle all 3 into the deck, then draw 2 cards. You can only activate 1 Yang Zing Path per turn, but even if you open up multiple copies of Yang Zing Path, you could potentially discard them for Xiao Tu, since Xiao Tu says to discard 2 Yang Zing cards, so it could be another card discarded, but it's just good draw power and hand replenishment after you've destroyed so many of your own, or if your opponent has destroyed your own, Yang Zing monsters to draw back into the deck and then draw into some more usable cards. I also run 2 copies of Oracle of Zephyr, another search card, being able to add a Zephyr monster from your deck to your hand. So this is just another way to sort of deck thin and add more Yang Zing resources to your hand. You can add cards like Zefronu. You also have the added function of when you use a Zephyr monster, which could be your Zefroxy or your Zefronu, or a Synchro Summon to choose 1 monster from your deck and place it on the top of your deck, giving you access to more of those needed monsters you may need thanks to the spell, and then ones that you can potentially draw into that much more quickly with the shuffle back power of your Yang Zing Draw 2, with that card being added onto the top of the deck, either for the Draw 2 next turn or just for your shuffle back power of your Yang Zing Path to add that monster needed to your hand. And then for the one-ofs for the spells, 1 copy of Upstart Goblin, 1 copy of Call by the Grave, 1 Monster Reborn, and then the 1/1 for plenty of level 1 monsters, whether it be Chun or Pulao. You can special summon off of 1/1 and set up other monsters in the graveyard, which cards like, once you set up your other Yang Zings in the graveyard, cards like Boxia can easily special summon back onto the field just by destroying another card on the field. And also for the traps, I run 3 copies of 9 Pillars of Yang Zing, another card that could be searched off of Zefronu when a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated, and you control a Yang Zing card, negate the activation. If you do, shuffle that card into the deck, then destroy 1 other Yang Zing card you control. So it doesn't send the card to the graveyard, so no destruction effects that your opponent may resolve in the graveyard will activate thanks to this card, but you will be able to destroy another Yang Zing card, gaining that card's effect when it's destroyed, while stopping your opponent's card and making it so it's shuffled back into the deck and taken away as a resource that they could either utilize in the graveyard or off its destruction play once it resolves in the graveyard. I also run 2 copies of Yang Zing Creation. During once per turn, if a monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Yang Zing monster from your deck. You cannot special summon monsters from the X deck except for Synchro monsters, which really doesn't limit us because all we run in the X deck is Synchro monsters, just giving you that 1 extra monster to use for a special summon on the field. It is a once per turn, but just having 1 of your Yang Zing monsters be destroyed to get the special summon off of that Yang Zing monster, and then on top of that 1 additional Yang Zing monster as well on the field thanks to creation can just give you that plus needed for your synchro plays to then resolve that much more quickly if your opponent just tries to take away from those monsters you have on the field to begin with also. And then I also run the 3 Torrential Tribute. More destruction power for your opponent, but an added plus for you when you destroy your Yangzing monsters to get more special summons off of those monsters on the field. And also, lastly, 2 copies of Oasis of the Dragon Soul as another special summon option for a monster from your graveyard. Special summoning that monster in defense, it becomes a worm type monster, and then just having the additional effect of making it a worm monster with this card. But still, you can just have it summon out your Yangzing card, having your opponent destroy it, and then continuing the play. If your opponent tries to get around the destruction effects of your Yangzings, at least using Oasis of the Dragon Soul as an extended monster grab from the graveyard, or just to protect you with your own Yangzing monsters also. And moving on now to the extract for our Yangzing Synchro monsters. We're running 1 copy of Denlong, first of the Yangzing. With this card, if it's special summon, you can add 1 Yangzing card from your deck to your hand. And once per turn, you can send 1 worm type monster from your deck to the graveyard. And this card's level becomes that sent monsters. And if this face-up card leaves the field, you can special summon 1 Yangzing monster from your deck. You can only special summon Denlong, first the Yangzing, once per turn. You just have so many, effects to utilize thanks to Denlong. You get a search off this card, adding a Yangzing card from your deck to your hand, and then just being able to send 1 from your deck to the graveyard, and then being able to have this card's level become that sent monster's level. And then when this card leaves the field, you can special summon 1 Yangzing monster from your deck, just resource after resource, especially since it just leaves the field. So with this card giving you more of a play for your own synchro cards. I also run 2 copies of Bixi, Brightness of the Yangzing. When it's synchro summon, you can target cards on the field up to the number of different original attribute worm monsters used for the synchro summon of this card. Shuffle them into the deck, and once per turn, you can target 1 card you control and 1 level 4 lower monster in your graveyard. Destroy that card and special summon that other monster from your graveyard, giving you the activation potentially of a Yangzing if you destroyed it with Bixi, and then special summoning another card from the graveyard as well. What's also very useful is, let's say you have your Chun in the graveyard and a Yangzing monster on the field, so you can then use Bixi to destroy that monster, giving you the special summon of another monster that may be in your graveyard. So on top of the special summon of that 1 additional monster that may be in your graveyard, you can then activate the effect of Chun in the graveyard, giving you that special summon of another monster, and then additionally the destroyed Yangzing monster on your field to special summon 1 more monster onto the field is a Yangzing from that destroyed monster, giving you 3 resources to then use for another synchro play on top of the Bixi. I also run the 2 Yazi on top of the Mare special summon this card's used for. You can target a Yangzing monster you control and 1 card your opponent controls and destroy them. So potentially you could also use Yazi itself if you don't have the search power for another Yangzing to target for the destruction. Your opponent cannot target this card on the field with card effects. You go and use each effect of Yazi once per turn, but giving the destruction of Yazi itself to then just be able to grab the Mare from your deck, then sets you up for 3 more tokens off of the Mare as well. I also run the 1 Chaofeng as a bigger level Yangzing adjustable attribute card as well, and destroying those resources that your opponent may have for a level 9 synchro. And for more of the generic synchros, 1 Herald of the Arclight, 1 Samsara Dragon of Rebirth, 1 Stardust Charge Warrior, 1 Black Rose Dragon, along with 1 Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, 1 Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon, 1 Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, and also 1 copy of Crystron Caria Gondrix, and 1 Baron de Fleur for the bigger level synchro monsters. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, the biggest one still revolving around the Zhao setup with your Yangzings. Otherwise, the Yangzing deck definitely does one that revolves around you either setting up creation for your setup. But with Zhao, all you need is the Zhao in your hand and then 2 additional Yangzing cards for you to discard off of the Zhao. So depending on what you discard off of Zhao, you'll have that discard, and you just have to make sure that the Zhao resolves. It's the biggest risk you take with the Zhao Yangzing play, discarding 2 Yangzing cards, and if the card does resolve, you will get your special summon. So then you can special summon 2 Yangzing monsters. Ideally, I like to summon out Zefronu, and then additionally 1 more Yangzing monster from my deck onto the field, so you can get cards like Chun on the field as well. So then you have your monsters ready to go, and then you can go for your level 8 synchro play. And with this play, you can summon out your go-to Bixi onto the field. Bixi will then be able to shuffle your opponent's cards. You use 2 different attributes, the Earth and Dark Zhao, and then you can use the destruction effect. The Zhao will also be in your graveyard, so remember that. You can destroy your Chun that's on the field and use the effect effect of Boxia to special summon back what you may have had in your graveyard back onto the field as well. So you can either summon back the Yugioh 2 for the play, since you hadn't special summoned it yet onto the field. You did use the one effect already, but you destroyed the Chun, and then you can activate the Chun to give you a special summon from your deck onto the field. So then you can use the Chun to summon out the Beyond onto the field, and then you have the level 5 synchro play to go into as well. Using both of those cards, you can then summon out your Denlong onto the field. You don't really want to summon it in attack position. It does only have 0 attack. It's much better in defense, but we're going to use it as a resource anyway on the field. So when it is special summon, you can add one Yang Zing card from your deck to your hand. So off of this card, you've already set up a good number of different Yang Zings in your graveyard. So you could add a card like Yang Zing Path off of your Denlong, since you've already normal summoned this turn for the play as well. And then you can add that card from your deck to your hand once per turn, sending a worm type monster from your deck to the graveyard. So you can have that additional send to the graveyard with this play. So then with the card you set, you can adjust your Denlong for the synchro as well. So you could even send either, if you didn't have the Chun already off of the summon, you can either go for the Pulao off of the send, making your Denlong a level 1 monster. And the Denlong is also a tuner, so then you can go with Boxia and Denlong into your Chaofeng onto the field. Then you can go for the Yang Zing Path, shuffling back the Boxia, the Denlong, and then the Yugioh 2 back into your deck as well, shuffling back the extra deck monsters, and then the one Yugioh 2, giving you a draw 2 on the field as well. But before you do that as well, remember, since your Denlong left the field, it lets you special summon another Yang Zing monster from your deck onto the field. So with that play, giving you one more special summon, you have the additional setup with Chaofeng. You can go for the Chun special summon, or just another Yang Zing monster, depending on what you want to sit on. You can either sit on the Zefronu for the destruction play, or, like I said, if you go for this play off of the Denlong setup on the field, having those cards set, you can then, instead of the path that you initially searched out, you can go ahead and search for either creation to set up and have more special summon plays on your opponent's turn, or add a 9 pillars as well, because then you can set the 9 pillars on the field, have the destruction of your Zefronu, a negation of your opponent's cards, have the control play with your Chaofeng, and then be able to use the search power to add the Yang Zing Path off of the Zefronu for you to activate the following turn, and then the additional play of shuffling back your opponent's cards thanks to the 9 pillars of the Yang Zing. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm just so happy that Denlong is off the list. Like I said, I've waited a good while to see this card return to the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, so definitely happy about it. And I hope you all are as well. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.